Hi there. So I had a question from a writer friend of mine about how I've organized my fantasy fiction novel, and I've outlined it on what I would consider a timeline, but right now it looks like all of these four lines almost look like a calendar. But if you separated these out and kept them going, obviously it would just be one long timeline. So the way that I was trying to organize it was in the 40 or so chapters that I'm going for to achieve about 100,000 word count in a typical size, small, even on the small side, fantasy fiction novel. I was trying to apply a few different theories on novel plot structure. And so, there's this typical act one, act two, act three. And I have that in the top section. Sorry, getting a phone call. I have that on the top section, Act One, these 10 chapters. And then I wanted to be able to say, like, when the energy was going to shift in the middle of the second act. And and I think that happens here. So I just have that sort of highlighted over the tables. I just made a table in Word to do this in Microsoft Word. And then so the shift is when the action, some sort of twist has happened, right? Like something unexpected, and it takes us into act three. So that would, I think, be the climax in that very simple kind of plot structure that they teach in middle school. Um, but then I also was trying to format the hero's journey sequence, receiving the call to adventure, rejecting the call, being forced to go, stepping over the threshold, meeting a mentor, meeting a helper, descending into the abyss, resurrection, redemption, returning with the elixir or the boon, and returning changed, right? And so I wanted to make sure that this story had all of those things. And at the same time, I've got some specific story archetypes in here. So there's a master apprentice archetype happening. There's a little bit of a mystery happening throughout, like trying to figure out what's going on in the big picture of the world. And there's a little bit of a heist archetype at the very end in Act Three of like how are they going to seal the deal, right? How are they going to get this thing done? And at the same time, I'm also trying to make sure that my main character has a really good growth arc throughout, because that's actually really my most important focus in this book, more than the magic systems or the world building, or even the plot itself, is character development. I've realized as I've been working on this that her growth as a person is actually what my most important thing is. So what I've done in the color coding is anywhere in blue. And I don't know if you can quite see see how there's a light blue and a dark blue. Anything blue has to do with my main character. And where it's dark blue is a pivotal moment for her. And anything in red is the another um the word is escaping me, but like a group of potential helpers is what we'll call this, the sisterhood. That's what we'll call them. And then anything in green, I don't know if you can really see that, though maybe my light isn't as bright as it could be in here, is the bad guy's helper. So the antagonist, the hunter that he has hired, and anything in magenta is the antagonist. And so each chapter is kind of like, what do I want to have happen in that chapter? This is the hero receives the call. So across that top box, it's chapter one, chapter two, chapter three. So for each chapter, what do I want to accomplish in that chapter? Because for fiction writing, right, you make promises and you show progress. And I want to note at the top there, what promise am I making in each chapter? Because then I know what I need to have happen there. and who it's focused on is the color, obviously. And then I give a little bit of details. We're going to learn about Mylene's dreams in the first chapter and her need to have a home. All of a sudden, she is without home. And how do we need to talk about that? Now, in the box right underneath the archetype or what I want to have happen in the chapter, the details about that, this is all Mylene's story arc, her character arc, her growth arc. It's what I want to have happen all along the way. And the way I am structuring that is that her growth is going to actually follow a path of like what you would call chakra enlightenment, right? Like, so from all the way up through the chakra system, through each color, that's kind of how I'm defining each stage of her growth. And then on the bottom is part of my magic system. There are 4 levels of badassery or like strength in the magic system, like an aspirant, an adherent, a practitioner, a mistress. And so who Mylene is in those chapters. So all through here, she's just very beginning, right? And then her magic begins to grow a little bit more and a little bit more. Um, so yeah, that's kind of I there are a lot of moving parts, right? And I might actually cut this up and paste it end to end or tape it end to end so that I can see all along the way. Um, and I'm not so rigid as to know that this won't change as I go through edits, but this is at least giving me the focus that I need to make sure I'm trying to keep track of all the moving pieces as I write. So I hope it helps you or was maybe interesting, and thanks for asking.